At the annual block party, my neighbor got drunk and announced to everyone that I was going into foreclosure. It was a lie. I was furious, but I said nothing. Over the next 6 months, I bought the lot next to his house at a foreclosure auction and built a giant 2-story garage that completely blocked his lake view. When he came begging me to tear it down, I simply said, "I thought you said I was broke?" Call me Mark. I'm 43, married to my wife Sarah, and we live in Sandusky, Ohio. It's not flashy, but it's home. We've got a small house in a lakeside neighborhood called Sandusky Shores. It's quiet, peaceful, and the view of Lake Erie from our backyard is what sold us on the place. At least, it was peaceful. Until Derek happened. Derek moved in 3 years after us. He's in his early 50s, heavy-set, always wearing some college football hoodie no matter the season. Loud voice, louder opinions. The guy acted like the block owed him something. He has a monster house compared to the rest of us. Custom deck, big-ass boat, new grill every summer. Derek liked to throw parties that were more about showing off than actually having fun. I always kept my distance. But Derek couldn't stand people who didn't worship him. I guess my wife and I being quiet, paying our bills, and minding our business bugged him. We were the only ones he couldn't impress. The Sandusky Shores annual block party was in early August. It's the one time of year the whole neighborhood gets together. There's barbecue, beer, music, and the usual small-town gossip. Sarah made her famous potato salad. I grilled burgers. Everything was fine, until Derek got drunk. He stumbled up onto his back deck, acting like it was a damn stage, tapped a beer bottle with a spoon, and slurred into the crowd. "Hey, everybody! Listen up! Mark over there might not be around next year. Poor guy's going into foreclosure." Laughter. Chuckles. Whispers. My heart dropped. Sarah grabbed my arm and whispered, "What the hell is he talking about?" We weren't going into foreclosure. I had a stable job at the nearby manufacturing plant. Our bills were paid. We were fine. It was a lie. A sick, humiliating lie. I stood there frozen, fists clenched, as the neighbors stared at me. Derek just gave me that smug half-smile and raised his drink like we were in on a joke. We weren't. Sarah and I left. I didn't say a word. I lay awake that night staring at the ceiling, burning with anger. I wanted to storm over and knock his teeth out. Sarah, always the calm one, said, "Don't. Let it go." I nodded, but deep down I couldn't let it go. 2 weeks later, I noticed a sign on the empty lot next to Derek's property. It had been vacant forever. Turns out, the previous owner had passed, and the heirs didn't want it. I called the county office out of curiosity. It was heading to foreclosure auction. That's when the spark hit me. I started researching everything. Zoning rules, setback requirements, easements. I even met with the city's building inspector under the cover of considering building a workshop. What I found out made me grin like a kid at Christmas. I could build a detached garage. Up to 2 stories. Perfectly legal. Right next to Derek's property. And directly in the line of his expensive lake view. The auction was held on a cold Tuesday in November. Only a handful of people showed up. The second the auctioneer called for bids, I raised my hand. Nobody else did. I walked away owning the lot for less than Derek spent on his stupid boat. Sarah was nervous. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. I just smiled. "Oh yeah? I'm sure." Construction started in early spring. I hired Dave, a local contractor who didn't ask questions as long as the checks cleared. The garage went up fast. Footers, concrete slab, framing, siding. The first morning, Derek stormed over in basketball shorts and flip-flops. "What the hell is going on?" I stood with my coffee and calmly said, "Building a garage. Nothing illegal." As the walls rose, Derek's face got redder and redder. He called the city. Inspectors came out multiple times. Measurements were taken down to the inch. Every time we passed. You can't block my view! Derek shouted. There's no ordinance guaranteeing you a view, the inspector said flatly. By June, the beast was done. 2 stories of smooth gray siding, black steel doors, and exactly positioned to turn Derek's back deck into a view of my garage wall. Derek showed up on my porch shaking with rage, sweat beading on his bald head. You've got to take it down, man. I'll pay you. You can't leave it like that. I took a sip of my coffee and stared at him, calm as ice. I thought you said I was broke? He just stood there speechless. His eyes flicked back and forth between me and his Lost Lake view. His mouth opened, then closed. I walked back inside. Word got around the neighborhood fast. Derek, the self-proclaimed king of Sandusky Shores, was now the guy with the $1 million deck facing a garage wall. People laughed behind his back. He tried complaining again. Nothing worked. I had followed every rule to the letter. Derek's attitude changed after that. No more loud parties. No more bragging. He barely left the house. Sarah and I? We enjoyed every cup of coffee from our second-floor workshop window with the perfect lake view. Some people say revenge isn't worth it. I say sometimes it is. Sometimes it's the only way to get someone like Derek to shut the hell up. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't. About 2 weeks after the garage was finished, a certified letter showed up in my mailbox. It was from a law office in town, Crawford and Miles. Derek had hired an attorney. The letter claimed my garage was maliciously intended to obstruct a neighbor's view, and demanded I remove the second story or face a lawsuit. Sarah was worried. What if he drags us to court? I called a local real estate attorney named Angela. She was sharp as nails. After reviewing my permits and the letter, she just laughed and said, "Let him try. You're covered." I sent back a short response. My structure meets all municipal and zoning codes. I will not be altering or removing it. Derek wasn't ready to quit. He filed an official complaint with the city. The city reviewed my plans and permits for the 5th time. Once again, I passed inspection. He then tried to stir up the Sandusky Shores HOA. Problem was, there was no HOA for our street. The neighborhood was too old to have one. Finally, he paid for a private survey, hoping to prove my garage crossed the property line. I knew it didn't. I had triple-checked before we built. The survey confirmed I was exactly within my boundaries. At this point, Derek must have spent 5 times more on lawyers and surveys than I paid for the land. The tension became unbearable. Derek stopped speaking to me altogether. Instead, he'd glare from behind his curtains when I mowed the lawn or washed my truck. I found strange things happening: nails, accidentally, scattered at the end of my driveway. Trash cans knocked over at night. Once, Sarah swore she saw Derek standing behind our hedges with a flashlight at 2 a.m. I reported it to the police. There wasn't enough proof to charge him, but they logged my complaints. An officer even stopped by Derek's house for a friendly chat. The real low point came that fall. I walked outside one morning and found bright orange spray paint on my garage wall. "Asshole!" Sarah gasped. I stood in silence, fists clenched. I had security cameras pointing at the front and back of the house, but not that side wall. I knew who it was, but proving it was another story. The police filed a vandalism report, but with no video, nothing happened. Instead of yelling or confronting him, I calmly hired painters the next day. I paid them extra to repaint the entire garage in a bold, deep navy blue. It stood out even more against the drab brown of Derek's house. The message was clear: I wasn't going anywhere. People around Sandusky Shores started talking. Derek's reputation crumbled. His friends stopped coming by. At one point, I overheard a neighbor mutter at the mailbox, "Derek finally picked a fight he couldn't win." The guy who once held court at every block party now avoided everyone. His once immaculate deck became weathered and neglected. The hot tub cover sagged. His boat sat unused at the dock. The king had fallen. The next spring, something changed. I saw the "for sale" sign go up in Derek's front yard. I laughed out loud when I spotted it from my upstairs window. Curiosity got the better of me. I called the listing agent, pretending to be an interested buyer. I learned Derek had slashed the price twice. The agent hinted, "The block view has hurt the value quite a bit." Of course it had. The view was what had made Derek's house special. Now it was just another overbuilt lake house with a wall for scenery. Weeks passed. No buyers. More price cuts. Derek grew desperate. One evening in late May, Derek showed up on my doorstep. For the first time in over a year, he knocked. I opened the door and found him standing there, disheveled, thinner, beaten down. The man looked exhausted. His voice shook. "Mark, listen. I know I've been a bastard. I said things I shouldn't have. Please, man, I can't sell the house with that thing blocking the view. I'm begging you. I'll pay you. I'll do anything. Just take down the second story." I stared at him. Sarah came to the door behind me and whispered, "He looks awful." I nodded and stepped outside. I let Derek ramble on for a solid 2 minutes. Finally, I held up my hand. "You humiliated me in front of everyone I know. You spread a lie that could have cost me my job, my credit, my reputation. Then you harassed me for months when I defended myself." I paused and smiled coldly. "I thought you said I was broke." His face crumbled. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He turned and walked back across the lawn, shoulders slumped, utterly defeated. A month later, the boat disappeared. The deck furniture vanished. Derek moved out quietly in the middle of a rainy Tuesday. No goodbyes. No farewell party. Word got around that he filed for personal bankruptcy shortly after. The house sat empty for a year before a retired couple from Toledo bought it cheap. They told me they loved the privacy my garage offered. They even thanked me for the windbreak. I had to stop myself from laughing. Today, I still sip coffee every morning from my workshop window. The sun sparkles off Lake Erie. Sarah and I host friends on our own smaller deck. The neighbors joke about the view that vanished. I never set out to ruin Derek's life. I only wanted him to stop. But when he couldn't? Well, I finished what he started. Some people say revenge is hollow. I disagree. Sometimes it's a cold drink you savor every damn day.